I never thought I'd be the guy posting about something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife Emily for about 3 years now. Things between us were pretty good, or at least I thought so. She's the kind of girl who can be bitchy, yeah, but I figured that was just her personality, sharp, sarcastic, sometimes a little too quick with a snarky comment. Still, she's gorgeous, smart, and we had this plan to get married next month. Everything seemed perfect. Until last week. The first signs of trouble started subtle. Emily had been acting a little weird, distracted, sometimes defensive when I asked simple questions. She'd snap at me for no reason or just brush things off like I was bothering her. I figured it was work stress or her period or something trivial. But then I started noticing her phone more. She's the type to keep her phone glued to her hand, but lately she'd be sneaking around, hiding it when I was in the room. I didn't think much of it at first. People tend to be secretive these days, right? But that's what I thought. Then, last Saturday night, I was doing some laundry and knocked over her purse. Her phone fell out and skidded across the floor. I didn't think much about it, but when I picked it up, I noticed she'd left her messages open. I only glanced at the screen, big mistake, I know, but what caught my eye made my stomach drop. There were these messages between her and someone named Jake. I didn't recognize the name, but what I saw next was enough to make me want to throw up. They were talking about meeting up and secrets. She had sent him a picture, nothing explicit but enough to tell me they'd been more than just friendly. I was stunned. I felt this cold punch to the gut. I didn't want to believe it at first. Emily's always been good at lying, so I told myself maybe it was just some flirtation, a harmless bit of fun. But the way they talked, the things they said, she was clearly hiding something. I stayed up all night, going through her messages carefully. That's when I found the real kicker, a string of intimate messages that made it clear they'd had sex more than once. I couldn't sleep after that. I kept asking myself if I'd missed the signs, if I was just blind. I thought about all the times she'd lied to me about where she was going, why she'd be so defensive when I asked about her phone. It all clicked into place. The last thing I expected was to find out she'd been cheating on me with her boss, David, from work. I found out he was married too, and that her boss was a total scumbag. The worst part, she lied about everything. She told me she was working late last week, that she'd be at the office. Yet there she was, sneaking around, texting this guy, probably screwing him behind my back. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was racing. I wanted to confront her immediately, but I didn't want to do it without a plan. I needed to be sure. So I kept digging, more messages, more clues. Every text, every flirtatious emoji, every can't wait to see you just made my blood boil. The day I found that shit, I felt numb. My entire world was crashing down around me. I thought I knew her, but I was blind to all the red flags. Now I don't know if I should be angry, broken, or just done. That's where I am right now, trying to process all this, figuring out what the hell to do next. I never thought I'd be that guy who catches his wife cheating before the wedding. I thought I knew her better than that. Turns out, I didn't know her at all. After I spent the night staring at those messages, I knew I couldn't keep pretending nothing was wrong. I kept telling myself I'd give her the benefit of the doubt, that maybe it was just a stupid fling and she'd come clean. But deep down, I knew better. This was real, it was serious, and it was just the tip of the iceberg. I had to confront her, and I had to do it soon. So the next morning, I waited until she was in the shower. I grabbed her phone from the nightstand, feeling my hands shake. I knew I shouldn't have, but I couldn't stop myself. Her messages were all there, just as I'd seen the night before. I scrolled through her texts again, just to make sure I wasn't imagining things. And then I found the photos. Not explicit, thank God, but enough to confirm everything. I saw pictures of her in bed with this guy, her lips pressed to his neck, her hair messy from some frantic, passionate night. Pictures that told me she'd been lying to my face all week, telling me she was working late or at her sister. My mind was spinning. I was furious, hurt, and confused all at once. When she got out of the shower, I told her I needed to talk. Her face immediately changed, her eyes narrowed, her mouth tight. I asked her straight out, "Who is Jake? What's going on between you two?" She blinked, then tried to brush it off. "What are you talking about? That's just some coworker, nothing serious." Her voice was insincere, dismissive. It was like she was trying to play it off, like she thought I was stupid. I didn't buy it, not for a second. I laid it all out, her messages, the photos, the secret trips, the lies. Her reaction was instant. She started to get defensive, then bitchy, throwing her hands up like I was the one overreacting. "You're crazy, Mike. You're jumping too." Conclusions: it's just sex, it doesn't mean anything. I was drunk, it was a mistake, and I swear I love you. Her tone was sharp, her words dripping with contempt. She even had the nerve to tell me I was overreacting, that I was insecure, that I was ruining everything over some stupid messages. I felt my blood boil. I couldn't believe how she was trying to spin it, how she was acting like I was the villain here. The girl I loved, the girl I was about to marry, was out there screwing her boss and lying to my face about it. And she had the nerve to call me insecure. That was the moment I realized she was a master manipulator, a liar who could turn everything around and make me doubt myself. I told her I couldn't do this anymore, that I wanted answers, real answers, not her bullshit excuses. Her eyes flashed with anger. She told me I was accusing her of things she didn't do, that I was paranoid and insecure, and that I better not ruin everything over a few stupid sex messages. She stormed out of the room, leaving me standing there, furious, hurt, and feeling like a complete idiot for ever trusting her. I knew then that I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I had to decide what to do, because this wasn't just a fight about cheating. It was about respect, truth, and whether I wanted to spend the rest of my life with someone who lied to me from the start. That day, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. My mind kept circling back to everything I'd seen, everything she'd said, how she'd lied, how she dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. I remember sitting in our living room, staring at her unopened suitcase, feeling this strange mix of anger and heartbreak. I was furious that she could so easily lie and cheat and then turn around and act like I was the crazy one for questioning her. But at the same time, I was devastated. I had trusted her, or at least I thought I did. I needed space. I told her I was going for a walk, but really I was just trying to breathe, trying to get my head together. But of course, she followed me outside, trying to talk, trying to make excuses. Her voice was shrill and defensive, accusing me of blowing things out of proportion. She threw out some of her typical line, "You're overthinking everything. It's just sex, it doesn't mean I don't love you, and you're making a big deal out of nothing." I honestly wanted to shake her, tell her how wrong she was. That's when I realized she was trying to gaslight me. The way she was spinning it, you'd think I was the one overreacting, like I was some paranoid fool. That's when I snapped. I told her I couldn't believe she was calling me crazy after what I'd seen. I said I needed to think, to figure out what I wanted, because I was done pretending everything was okay. That's when she got even more bitchy. She told me I was being insecure, that I was ruining everything because of my trust issues. She said she loved me, but she was tired of my accusations and suspicions. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I'd never seen her so cold, so manipulative. She was throwing blame, trying to make me the villain in our story. But I knew the truth. She'd been lying from the start. All those times she told me she was at work or hanging out with friends or even just busy with the wedding plans. She was really with him, meeting her boss at secret bars, sneaking around behind my back. And I was just supposed to believe her lies. No way. Over the next couple of days, I kept thinking about all of it. Her sneaky behavior, her lies, the way she'd look me in the eyes and pretend everything was fine. I started to see how deep the betrayal went. It wasn't just about sex with her boss. It was about her lying to my face, making me doubt myself, trying to hold onto her fantasy of the perfect life while she was out screwing around. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore. Honestly, I was terrified of what I'd do next. Part of me wanted to confront her again, tell her she was busted for good. The other part just wanted to walk away, save myself from more pain. I started thinking about all the things I'd invested, my time, my love, my trust, and how she'd just thrown it all away. I even considered calling her boss, David, and telling him off, but I knew that wouldn't change anything. She made her choices, and I had to accept that. That night I sat alone, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything. I kept asking myself, how did it get this far? Was I blind? Or was I just too stupid to see the signs? I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly a little embarrassed, like I'd been played for a fool. But deep down, I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I had to figure out whether to fight for her, to try and fix this mess, or just walk away and start over. The truth was, I wasn't sure I had it in me to forgive her, not after all I'd seen and felt. But one thing was clear. My world had turned upside down, and I was pretty sure nothing would ever be the same again. The following days were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't stop thinking about what I'd discovered. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, those messages, her betrayal. I replayed every moment, every suspicious look, every little lie she told me. It was like my mind was trying to process a trauma I hadn't anticipated. I kept asking myself how I let it get this far, how I didn't see the signs earlier, how I could have been so blind to the woman I loved turning into someone I barely recognized. I decided I needed to talk to someone. I called my best friend, Jason, who's been through his own share of heartbreak, and told him everything. For hours, I ranted, vented, and tried to piece together what I should do. Jason told me to stop wasting my time and to just walk away. He said I deserved better than someone who'd cheat and lie. But part of me still hoped maybe I could fix it. Maybe there was some way to save what we had, even after everything. That night I sat on the couch, staring at the ring in my hand. The one we were supposed to get married with next month. It hit me hard. How much I'd invested in this, how I'd envisioned our future, and now it was all just a big pile of broken dreams. I wondered if I was overreacting, if I was just being the jealous, insecure guy she'd always called me. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about insecurity. It was about trust she'd shattered beyond repair. The next morning, I decided I had to confront her again. Not for her, not to give her another chance to lie her way out of it, but for myself. I had to hear her side, even if I already knew what it would be. So I called her and told her I wanted to talk face to face. She hesitated, then reluctantly agreed. When she arrived, she looked different, more defensive, like she knew I was about to drop the hammer. I laid everything out again, her messages, the photos, her lies. Her reaction was almost comical. She rolled her eyes and brushed it off like I was overreacting. Seriously, Mike, you're making this into a huge deal. It's just sex, it doesn't mean anything. I was drunk, I was stupid, but I love you. That's what matters. Her voice was flat. She even had the nerve to tell me I was being paranoid, that I was insecure. I couldn't believe she was twisting everything to make herself look innocent. I snapped. I told her that I'd seen enough, that I wasn't going to be some fool who gets played like a pawn. I told her I'd been betrayed, lied to, and that I didn't see any way to fix this. She started crying, trying to guilt-trip me, telling me I was ruining everything because I couldn't forgive her. But I knew the truth. I was done. Done with her excuses, done with her lies, done with the girl who'd turned into someone I didn't recognize. That's when she lashed out. She called me selfish, said I was overreacting, that I was just too insecure to handle her being wild sometimes. She even accused me of being controlling, which was laughable considering I'd never been like that. I realized then that she wasn't sorry, she was just trying to save her own ass. I told her she could pack her things and leave. I didn't want her there anymore, not after she'd shown me her true colors. She stormed out, screaming that I was making a huge mistake, that she loved me and that I was throwing away everything. And as she left, I finally felt a tiny bit of relief mixed with heartbreak. I knew what I needed to do: cut ties, move on, and rebuild my life without her. It wasn't an easy choice, but I couldn't stay with someone who betrayed me like that. I'd lost a lot of trust, sure, but I also found a little strength I didn't know I had. I realized I deserved someone who wouldn't lie and cheat behind my back, someone who would respect me enough not to do that kind of shit. That's where I am now, trying to pick up the pieces, figuring out how to let go of someone I loved but who clearly never loved me enough to stay faithful. After Emily left, I was left sitting alone in that empty apartment, feeling like I'd just been hit by a freight train. My mind kept racing, trying to make sense of everything. How I missed the signs, how she managed to hide this from me for so long, and how I'd trusted her with so much. The worst part was knowing that I'd loved her, built a future with her, and she turned out to be someone I barely recognized. I kept replaying her words, her tears, her accusations, and I couldn't help feeling a bitter mix of anger and sadness. That night I cleaned out my closet, packed up some of my things, and sat on the floor, staring at the empty space where she used to sleep. It hit me hard. This was really over. Not just a fight, not just a breakup, but the end of what I thought was a good life. I felt betrayed and humiliated, but I also felt a strange sense of relief. Like I'd finally woken up from a nightmare I'd been stuck in for months. I realized I'd been holding on to this relationship because I wanted it to work, because I loved her, but she had shattered that trust beyond repair. The following days were filled with a lot of reflection. I reached out to some friends, people who'd always been there for me, and told them everything. They were angry at her, furious that she'd lied, cheated, and tried to play me like a fool. Some told me I deserved better, that I'd be okay eventually. That helped a little, but honestly, I felt like I was drowning in a sea of disappointment. I kept asking myself why I'd let things get so bad, why I'd stayed so long when I saw the signs. But then I remembered how much I loved her, how I genuinely believed she loved me back. Now I see it was all a lie. I knew I needed to cut ties completely. Block her number, no contact. I even changed my phone number just to be safe. I didn't want any more lies, any more sneaking around. I started working out, trying to clear my head, and began focusing on myself, getting my head straight, rebuilding my confidence, and figuring out what I really wanted. The hardest part was coming to terms with the fact that I might never fully trust anyone again, or at least, not for a long time. I feel like I've been burned so badly that I don't know if I'll ever be able to open myself up again. But I also know I won't let this define me. I refuse to let her betrayal break me completely. I've learned some tough lessons about trust, about reading between the lines, and about not ignoring the red flags. I realized I had been so caught up in the idea of a perfect future that I ignored all the warning signs. I let her manipulate me with her lies and her bitchy attitude, and now I'm paying the price. Still, I know I'll heal, eventually. I've been trying to remind myself that getting through this pain will make me stronger. Honestly, I don't know what the future holds now. Part of me wants to get back out there, meet new people, and just move on. Part of me feels like I'll be alone for a while, that I'll never fully trust again. But I do know one thing. I'll never let anyone lie to me like that again. I'll be more cautious, more aware. That's the thing about getting betrayed. It teaches you who really matters, and it teaches you to value yourself more. I might be broken right now, but I'll come out of this better, stronger, and more careful about who I let into my life. So for anyone out there going through something similar, trust me, it sucks, it's humiliating, and it hurts like hell. But you get through it. One day, the pain will lessen, and you'll realize that you're better off without the people who don't deserve you. You owe it to yourself to walk away from that lies and find someone who respects you, not just with words but with actions. That's what I'm trying to do now. Keep moving forward even when it feels like everything's falling apart. Because at the end of the day, I still believe I'll find my way back to happiness. I just have to take it one step at a time. It's been a few weeks since Emily left, and honestly, I'm still trying to pick up the pieces. Some days are better than others. There's this strange emptiness that lingers, a reminder of how deep her betrayal cut. But I've also realized a lot about myself in the process. I've learned that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's painfully hard to rebuild. I've learned that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is walk away, even when it hurts like hell. Because staying just prolongs the pain and keeps you stuck in that cycle of betrayal and regret. I've started seeing a therapist. Honestly, it's been a game changer. Talking about everything, my feelings, the betrayal, the anger, helps me process it all. I'm slowly learning to forgive myself for trusting her so blindly, and to forgive her for hurting me so badly. Not because I want to forget what happened, but because I understand now that I can't control her actions, only how I respond to them. I've also begun to reframe my perspective. I realize that I don't need someone who manipulates me and lies to my face. I deserve honesty and respect. I've also started dating again, cautiously. It's scary, honestly. Every time I meet someone new, I worry about being hurt again, about trusting blindly. but I remind myself that not everyone is like her. I'm trying to take my time to rebuild my confidence and to remember that I'm worth more than her bullshit. Not every girl is a liar or a cheat. I want someone who actually cares, who treats me with respect and who's honest from the start. Looking back, I see how much I let her manipulate me, how I ignored the red flags, and how I made excuses for her behavior. But I also see how I'm stronger than I thought. I survived this nightmare and I'm still standing. It's not about pretending I'm okay all the time, some days I'm not, but it's about moving forward one step at a time. I refuse to let her betrayal define me forever. If there's anything I want people to understand from my story, it's this: never ignore your gut. When something feels off, even if you don't want to believe it, listen to yourself. Be honest about what you see and feel. And never stay in a relationship just because you're afraid of being alone or because you think you can fix someone. Because in the end, you can't change people. They have to want to change themselves. I'm still healing, still learning to trust again, but I've come to peace with one thing: I will be okay. I'll come out of this stronger, smarter, and more cautious. I'll cherish honesty and respect more than ever. And I'll never forget what I went through because it taught me the importance of valuing myself. No matter how much it hurts now, I know I'll be better for it. The pain will fade, but the lessons will stay with me forever.